people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan and today's video is going to be my August wrap up. These are all the books that I read in the month of August. This month I read 12 books, which I am super happy with, and yeah, let's just get into it. Why waste any more time? So the first 3 books I'm going to be reviewing, I actually posted a video like kind of doing like reading vlog, live reaction to reading these books. So if you want to check that out, go check it out. But let's get into them. So the first one is What It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. And honestly, to be clear, like all the books I'm going over, this is not the order I read them in. This is just like whatever. I just stacked them up and this is what we're going with. The first book, It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I loved this romance book so much. I gave this 5 stars. So this book, we're following Brendan and we're following our main character, Piper. And she is kind of like, you know, airhead rich girl. That's how they portray her in the beginning of the book, but she is so much more than that. And she goes to this small town to kind of fix up a bar. There she meets a local fisherman who is Brendan, and they fall in love, and it's super cute. And I loved every second of this book. It was so freaking good. I loved it so much. I read it physically, and I also read it using my Libby app, the audio version of it. So I did both physical and audio, and both were immaculate. Recommend them both. You know, if you just want to listen and read at the same time, if you just want to read it and then listen to it, like, I mean, you can't go wrong reading this book twice. So like, do it both ways because both were amazing experiences. Love this so much. 5 stars. The next book is Funny You Should Ask by Lisa Sussman. This book I gave 3 stars. It is a romance novel following Channy and Gabe. Channy is a journalist interviewer for like a celebrity magazine, and Gabe is a movie actor, and Channy interviews him, and this interview goes viral. They basically spend the weekend together, and she kind of like writes about it, and it's in a very rom-com-esque way that she writes about it, and it goes viral. So 10 years later, Channy and Gabe come together again to recreate this weekend, do another article, and again, it's a second chance romance. I really wasn't a big fan of this book. I went in it with high expectations, and I don't know, it just didn't live up to the hype to me. I don't know, I didn't really like it. It was 3 stars. Like, it was enjoyable, but I could have lived without it. So save your money, maybe listen to it through your library if you're really interested. The next book I read as part of that video was Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. This is another second chance romance, friends to lovers. It's basically we're following our 2 main characters. I rated this 1.5 stars, and I'm not entirely remembering the names of the characters. Was one of them named, oh, Percy and Sam, right? Percy, Sam, and Charlie? Possibly, or am I taking other book characters that no, Percy is definitely the girl's name. Sam, I'm thinking, is the guy's name. Anyways, we have Percy and Sam, and it's just like, again, it's just going back in the time, seeing how they like were childhood friends, like where their friendship formed, how it grew, them turning into like lovers, and then like, you know, something happening. 12 years later, they see each other again, they fall back in love. I hated it. I already went on a long rant about it in that video I was talking about, so if you want to see that, go watch that, because that book made me really mad. I hated the ending. Not a fan. Not for me, but tons of people love it, so maybe you'll love it. So I'm not going to say I don't recommend it because it does have a high rating, but for me, no. Honestly, if you like Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, which I've never read, but after reading the Goodreads reviews, everyone is saying this is basically like borderline plagiarizing Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Again, haven't read that book, so can't say anything to that, but if you like that book, maybe you'll like that book type of thing. Let's move on from romance. The next book I read that month is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. So this is a science fiction novel about like gene editing, and basically like editing your genes to kind of give you more like supernatural abilities, although it's like not supernatural, it's science fiction, you know what I mean? It's like you enhance your genes to like get stronger, faster, think differently, and that's illegal because in this, I don't know, we're in the future, I guess, and like people have done it and it hasn't gone right. It's a very action-packed science fiction story. It's basically like, I listened to this on audio, and it was like listening to an action movie, which I don't really like action movies. I like comedic action movies, but like not funny action movies. Like, they're just kind of boring to me. And that was this book. It was kind of boring. It was like good, like I was interested, I was entertained, but I was also kind of bored. Although that doesn't make any sense, I was entertained and also bored, but like you guys get what I'm saying. It was a 3 star. I wanted to read this because, you know, everybody loves Blake Crouch. I hear so much stuff about dark matter, recursion. I was like, oh, here's a new release, book of the month pick. Perfect. I will finally see what this writer's hype is about. I feel like I can't judge him on this. I feel like I have to read the other ones because this one, again, 3 stars. But honestly, too, like a lot of people that I follow that have previously liked his work didn't love this one either. So that's why I say I still have to give his other books a chance. The next 2 books that I read this month are The Inheritance Game and The Hawthorne Legacy. So I actually had The Final Gambit on my TBR for my August TBR. I didn't read it in August because it came out August 30th. Like, why did I put that on my TBR? So I read The Inheritance Games and I reread this. Basically, I did a full breakdown of these. So if you want to see that video, go check it out. That has also recently been uploaded. And yeah, I basically want to do a full breakdown of these because these stories, these books have a lot of details in them and they're really like easy to forget once you like, you know, read other books. There's just so much. Basically in this series, you're following our main character Avery, and she inherits $40 billion from the man named Tobias Hawthorne, and he is just like billionaire in Texas. She lives in Connecticut. She's like, who is this man? Why is he giving me money? And yeah, he just inherits his family, gives her $40 billion. The catch is she has to live in his house, the Hawthorne mansion, estate, whatever, with his whole family for a full year. And his family he has daughters, he has 4 grandsons, and it's a whole thing. And they're trying to basically figure out the mystery of why she was chosen to receive all his money. So it's a really fun trilogy. I highly recommend it, especially if you like Knives Out. And yeah, so I reread them this month. I will say, I loved these books the first time around. Rereading them, I didn't love them as much. But again, it's like a mystery, like, oh, this clue leads to this clue, which leads to this. And it's like, since I already read it, it didn't have that same magical feel to them. Originally, I rated this a 5-star and this a 4-star. I wouldn't say I had a 5-star and a 4-star experience the second time around, but I'm not going to change my rating because I'm just going to stick with the initial one because you can never beat reading a book for the first time again. You know what I mean? So there's those. And then the next book I read this month is Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting by Claire Pooley. I love this book so much. This book I rated 4 stars. So you're basically following our main character, Iona Iverson, and she commutes to work every day on the train. And then she knows all the other commuters on the train just by, like, you know, looking at them. Like, she knows of them, but she doesn't know them. And one day, one of the commuters chokes on a grape, and he gets saved by Sanjay, who is a doctor, and then all the commuters kind of start talking to each other, and then they form a friendship. I just love, like, strangers coming together, forming friendship, and, like, kind of forced circumstances. Like, they're commuters, right? They're on a train every day together. Like, they're kind of forced in this forced proximity, I guess. I mean, it's a romance trope, but it works here. Forced proximity, and they're like forced to become friends, and it has like that found family element to it. And I just love these character-driven stories about strangers coming together. If you like Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, like, you'll love this book. So yeah, I loved it. I listened to this on audio, and I highly recommend the audio. I actually wasn't even going to buy a physical copy of it, but I went to Barnes & Noble, and the copies were damaged, so they had them 50% off, and I was like, you think I care about this? It's gonna be on my shelf like this. So I was like, okay, hell yeah, I'll buy it. So I got it for $13. I rated it 4 stars. I feel like it could be a 5-star though upon a reread. Now that I have the physical copy, I will probably reread it because, again, loved this so much. Highly recommend. Super fun time. The next 5 books I read are all Riley Sager books, and I posted a video this month like reading every book by Riley Sager. So The House Across Lake was actually in my July wrap-up because I read that at the end of July, and then in August I read the other 5 books. So I really go in detail on these books in that video, so if you want to see that, go watch that if you want more detail. So since I already did it, I'm not going to be like super in depth. First we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and also this is not the order I read them in, they're just the order that they were on my shelf when I pulled them out. So we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This book you're following our main character Maggie, just like, you know, have to like casually like look in the flap because I don't know, you guys, I'm really bad at memorizing character names. Just am, don't know why, just that's how it is. So we have Maggie, and she basically, where her dad dies, and she inherits the house that they used to live in when she was a kid, but they only lived there for 20 days, and she had assumed that her dad sold it, so she was really like, why am I even inheriting this? And basically they only lived in the house for 20 days because the house was haunted, and her dad wrote like a nonfiction story about it being haunted, and it became like an an international bestseller, and Maggie kind of resents her dad for that because it kind of like thrust her into the spotlight. And on top of that, she's like, my dad's a liar. I lived there for 20 days. I know the house wasn't haunted, but then she starts living there, weird things start happening, and that is the book. I love this so much. I rated this 5 stars. It was a really fun time. I think if you like American Horror Story and you like Murder House, like season 1, and you like the apocalypse season, like I feel like you'll really like this book. So yeah, if you are a fan of those shows, read this book. Also, if you like Simone St. James, I feel like you will also really like this book as well. Okay, the next Riley Sager book I read is Lock Every Door. So this one is an apartment setting mystery thriller. You know, this girl, she moves into this apartment building. She's an apartment sitter. They hire her and they basically will pay her $4,000 a month, and she doesn't have to pay rent. She just lives in this fancy apartment building and gets paid $4,000 a month. Like, who wouldn't do that? So she goes in there and then she starts like learning about other apartment sitters and ones that have gone missing, and she's like, what is going on here? She tries to investigate. And this book to me was a little boring. It's like the Paris Apartment, but the Paris Apartment done way better. So if you like that book, you'll also probably like this book as well. But yeah, I don't know. I just found it to be kind of boring. I don't think apartment settings are my thing. So I rated this 3 stars, which I'm sad because I feel like everybody that I know on Goodreads, because you know how it shows you all the people you know at the top first, right? Everyone gave it 5 stars. I think I'm the only one who gave it less than a 5 stars, which is shocking. And yeah, 3 stars. I would recommend it because so many other people love it. I must be in the minority, but that's that book. The next book I read is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. So this one you're following our main character, casually looking. What is her name? Emma. There we go, right? Yep, Emma. We're following our main character, Emma, and she was at a summer camp when she was little, and her 3 bunkmates, they like sneak out and they disappear and no one knows where they are. And fast forward like decades later, I don't know, she's an adult and she goes back to the camp. The camp is reopening. She goes back to be like a counselor just to kind of show her support for the camp reopening, and it kind of goes from there. I really like this book a lot. I thought it was a really fun read. This one, I mean, like, I don't really know what else to say about it. It was an enjoyable time. I was a fan. Again, like, the things I have wrong with it are very spoilery and they're in my previous video, so go watch that. The next book I read is Final Girls, also by Riley Sager. Read so much Riley Sager. You would think that I would be so sick of Riley Sager by now, like reading 6 of his books back to back to back, but like, I'm still like, when is his next book coming out? Is it 2023? Is he releasing a book in 2023? What is it about? I want it right now. So like, that just shows that I really like all his books. This one is Final Girls, so we're following our main character, Quincy. And Quincy was a final girl. She was part of like a mass murder situation. She escaped, she got help, whatever. And so basically years later, there's another final girl from an incident and she commits suicide. And then another final girl comes up to her house and was like, oh my God, like, let's be friends. Like, I can't believe that girl killed herself. And that is basically what the book is about. I really enjoy this. I love the concept of Final Girls. This book really made me want to read The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. So that should be on my September TBR. So yeah, I really like this concept of a final girl, writing a book around them and kind of what happens to these survivors like after the horror movie is over. So yeah, this was a really fun read. I think I rated it 4 stars. And the last book that I read this month is Survive the Night, again, by Riley Sager. So this book was an experience. This book genuinely made me mad, but like a fun mad. Like, the character was so dumb, but I had so much fun reading it. And I think this is his most controversial. Like, this is the one that like everybody talks shit about, but like, you know what? It was a good time. I think it's a fun hate read. Not even a hate read. Like, I rated it 4 stars, like whatever. And yeah, that is this book. Again, more details in that other video, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That was all the books I read in the month of August, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.